Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric. As many of you know, I have some experience in the military, and Benny Johnson on YouTube just came out with a video telling people not to join the military while Biden's president. So I thought it'd be appropriate for me to react to it because I do find some of these points interesting. And before we get started, none of these opinions are those of the DoD or the United States Air Force. So let's take a look here at this video.
A one within.
We'll always honor the bravery and selfishness of the Americans.
A safe place where promises are kept.
We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation.
Promises to oneself.
You're a really dull class.
Promises to one's community.
Damn liar, man.
Promises to one's country.
Clap for that, you freaking bastard.
View.
Okay, I already got to stop it. So, regardless of your opinion on the vaccine, a lot of people in the military felt like leadership was pissing on their leg and telling them it was raining when it came to vaccine requirements. Remember, in the military, you fall under a different set of rules and laws, the UCMJ, and you give up some of your rights when you join the military. Now, when they mandate a vaccine, regardless of your opinion on it, the part that we felt lied to about was they never took into account natural immunity. If you remember back in early 2021, everyone thought it would stop the spread of COVID, and it did not. And so the whole argument for it being required didn't make a lot of sense. And about 60,000 people have been kicked out of the military because of it. So, long story short, people thought, and still think, for a variety of personal reasons, that the military is putting politics above the safety of their soldiers. So it kind of pulled away the veil and it made them feel like their leadership were politicians. And military preachers were one big happy family. And they felt lied to. And I think understandably so. And that's causing a lot of people not to join the military. This is coming straight from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He said, COVID vaccine is one of the number one reasons why people are not choosing to join the military today. So let's watch some more.
Proud.
You know the thing.
How old were you when you suddenly realized that the people who run the United States of America don't actually care about you? They don't care about making your life any better. They simply care about power, their own power, and grabbing more of it. And the easiest way to grab power in the modern political landscape is through wokeness and identity politics and virtue signaling. How else do you explain the Brittney Griner swap for a Russian terrorist this week? Brittney Griner is a WNBA player who was in Russia.
Now, I think that all that's valid. And one of the things I tell people is remember, in the United States military, we don't swear an oath to the president. We swear an oath to the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we can get into what a domestic enemy is here in another video. But there's been a lot of things that have caused people to think that troops are the lowest of priority. And you can have your opinion on the Brittney Griner thing, but my opinion is that was a fairly bad deal. I've seen some Russian media coverage of it, and they're kind of laughing at the United States. And not to mention, if you look into it, we have people in prison for pretty much what Brittney Griner did today in the United States. So it is kind of there's this constant double standard that really, really bothers people. And this is just another cherry on top, another chapter in the saga of putting American troops, and this guy that they could have traded Victor Boot for was a veteran who's held by Russia, but they chose Brittney Griner. So let's keep watching.
playing basketball when she was arrested and pled guilty to possession of cannabis vape cartridges at an airport near Moscow. Possessing 7 grams or more of cannabis carries criminal penalties in Russia. Those can include up to 2 years of corrective labor. Griner was charged with smuggling cannabis into Russia, a crime that holds a sentence of 5 to 10 years. Griner was sentenced to 9 years hard labor. Griner became a darling of the American media because she is on the identity politics spectrum. She is a lesbian, she is a sports athlete, she is a pseudo celebrity, even though only 12 people maximum attend every single NBA game. And Brittney Griner is, of course, a America hating leftist. Brittney Griner said that she doesn't want the national anthem.
Now, I read a tweet that the hard labor she was required to do, that 9 years of hard labor in Russia, was actually to watch WNBA games. So she had to sit in her cell for 12 hours a day and just watch WNBA games, which I think we can all agree that would be torturous.
To play before the WNBA games. This coming from somebody who's a 2-time Olympic basketball champion. Yes, she's represented the United States inside the Olympics, yet she is offended by our national anthem. This is what's being produced currently on the left, and they have to take care of their own. That's why Joe Biden needed to pull out all of these stops to free Brittney Griner. Joe Biden decided to release a man named Victor Bout. Who is Victor Bout? Victor Bout is the merchant of death, so-called. He is a flamboyant arms dealer. He's in his mid-50s with Russian military background. He was born in Tajikistan. Victor Bout became a billionaire by raiding the armories of the collapsing Soviet Union in the 1990s and using old Soviet cargo planes to transport black market weapons to conflict zones around the world. Bout's criminal genius has been...
Hell of a nickname, the Merchant of Death. He also has a nice mustache. But he allowed for a lot of firepower to come to Africa in some of the civil wars. And a lot of these clips are from the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. And so it's just funny that Nicolas Cage plays that guy. But he's not a nice fella. And we're going to forget about the fact that we traffic arms around the world, sponsored by the United States government. But anyways, he's not a nice guy. And there's a 60 Minutes story on him if you want to look up more about him. But he his arms dealings have allowed for the death of some say millions of people.
Been hailed by every international law enforcement agency that went after him. He was smart enough to mix his weapon shipments with more legitimate cargoes, posturing as a humanitarian who wanted to sell cheap food to starving Africans. Meanwhile, he was selling guns to every bad actor and terrorist group, from Al-Qaeda to Hezbollah to the Taliban and its enemies in Afghanistan. Victor Bout's arms sales directly led to the slaughter of untold numbers of Americans and U.S. servicemen. Victor Bout was nabbed in just such a scheme in Thailand in 2008 while he was trying to sell weapons to Colombian terrorists who were actually CIA agents in disguise. Victor Bout wasn't just trying to sell them small arms, he was trying to sell them a wartime arsenal. 300,000 AK-47 firearms, 10 million rounds of ammunition, 800 surface-to-air missiles, C4 plastic explosives, all
right, keep it. Sorry, I have to keep pausing it. Keep in mind the administration that wants to implement gun control on law-abiding citizens just freed this guy, as he names off the millions of rounds. And the fact that, so the United States' interest in this guy was that he actually facilitated the death of U.S. service members by selling arms to people that were killing U.S. service members. So that's why the United States eventually arrested him, and now he's free.
Ultralight airplanes outfitted with grenade launchers and unmanned aerial vehicles. This is the kind of arsenal that you use to invade another country. Victor Bout is one of the most dangerous terrorists who have ever lived. And he is now free. because of wokeism, because of the identity politics that has infested, like a cancer, the Democrat Party that is currently in charge of our nation. Meanwhile, legitimate American heroes, Paul Whelan, a Marine and a former cop from Michigan, sits in a Russian prison rotting. That's right. Not part of the negotiations was Paul Whelan. Former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan has spoken out from a Russian prison after 4 years behind bars, slamming the Biden administration for failing to secure his release in the prisoner swap that freed WNBA star Brittney Griner. Whelan said that he was being held hostage of Russia and pleaded for the White House to do everything that they could to get him home. He faces another 12 years in a Russian penal colony. Thursday's controversial prison swap saw Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman help broker Griner's release in exchange for a Russian arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death. Republicans have accused Joe Biden of favoring celebrities over veterans, as Paul Whelan is left to languish in a Russian prison on espionage charges that his family and the U.S. government say are.
Don't you think it's odd that we're, I wouldn't say befriending, but we're using people like Saudi Arabia who killed that journalist? We think of ourselves in America, less and less so, unfortunately, but as the good guys, and we're cornering ourselves with people like Venezuela, begging them to pump more oil, and same thing with Saudi Arabia. Of course, that meeting between Biden and the Saudi prince. A lot of people think it wasn't for oil, but I think we all know. But because we're not energy independent, because in my opinion, we don't have a strong standing in the world, a lot of other countries have bargaining chips that they otherwise wouldn't have, unfortunately.
Baseless. I am greatly disappointed that more has not been done to secure my release, especially as the 4-year anniversary of my arrest is upcoming, Whelan told CNN in a phone call from a Russian penal colony. I don't understand why I'm still sitting here. I was arrested for a crime that never occurred. Sorry, Paul. Turns out that you're a white, former cop, American service member. You served your country honorably, and that's just not in political fashion these days. Good luck rotting in jail. Even Joe Rogan sees the repulsive hypocrisy and hierarchy here as hundreds of thousands of Americans sit and rot in American jails for a scintilla of what Brittney Griner was locked up for in Russia. Watch.
People are freaking out about this, right? They're freaking out. Russia needs to let her go. We have people in America right now locked up for marijuana, and they've been locked up for years, for years
That's
and
funny.
years and years. And there's not one.
That's
there's
funny.
thousands of them. So what, they're not good at throwing a fucking ball into a net? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They're not good at that one thing that we like to watch?
Oh, dude.
So those fucking people don't get let out?
Meanwhile, on The View, none of this happened because Brittney Griner broke the law. It's because the WNBA players don't get paid enough.
I think it highlights why our women need to be paid their value in sports, because that's why she was over there in the first place.
But to paraphrase Bill Burr, where's Sonny Hosen and the ladies of The View buying their season passes to WNBA games? Why aren't you supporting women? If you are so passionate about it, Sonny Hosen, why don't you tell me which team was it that Brittney Griner played for?
What if you could have your own personal fitness and health coach for just $30 per month? Let me introduce you to the Whoop 4.0.
I'll wait. Peter Ducey asked Corinne Jean-Pierre how they could possibly justify releasing one of the world's most dangerous men for one of the world's dumbest and most mediocre athletes. This was the response, predictably.
In this prisoner swap, why did Russia get such a better deal?
Look, I've talked about this, and I'll say this again. Here were our choices. Our choices was Brittney or no one at all. Bringing home one American or no American at all. And that's
a professional athlete. We gave up a prolific arms dealer who was convicted of trying to kill Americans, who was called the Merchant of Death.
The professional athlete is also an
Yeah,
American.
I don't. So there's been reports that it was either or, Whelan or Britney Griner. So they had their choice. I don't know which one is true, but people are saying Biden needs to read The Art of the Deal by Trump to learn how to negotiate better. So,
Citizen. So let's not forget that. Who
And
deserved
American citizens.
and
We
so
can do this all day.
and I've explained how the Russians have illegally treated, totally illegitimately treated his situation. I've been very clear on that. We've laid that out for you. And again, the president felt that this was an opportunity to bring Brittany home. He is going to continue to do everything he can to bring Paul Whelan home, just like he did with Trevor Reed, just like he was able to secure Trevor Reed's release.
The answer is no. The regime did not even try to get Paul Whelan, the U.S. Marine, out of jail. They don't care about Paul Whelan. They don't care about people that do not match and meet the identity politics spectrum of hierarchy. What matters to them is the selective outrage of the media and the activist class. What kind of deal is it to swap Brittney Griner?
you guys agree with that? It sure feels like that when it comes to who they fight for and who they denigrate. Yeah, and it feels like a political expedient thing to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
A basketball player who openly hates our country, for the man known as the Merchant of Death, who is one of the biggest arms dealers anywhere in the world and responsible for tens of thousands of deaths and horrific injuries. Why wasn't former Marine Paul Whelan included in the totally one-sided transaction? He would have been let out for the asking. What a stupid and unpatriotic embarrassment for the USA. You know you've messed up when Donald Trump and Adam Kinzinger are on the same side. Donald Trump saying on Truth Social, and Adam Kinzinger openly complaining on Twitter the same thing, saying, why wasn't Paul Whelan released? The answer is right in front of you. They are openly committing crimes against our culture. They are openly committing crimes against our morality and our shared virtue here as a country. The hierarchy of identity politics and selective outrage for the dispossessed is leading to the dumbest foreign policies in American history. We have simply committed an act of actual war crime against ourselves by releasing one of the most dangerous men to ever come from Russia back to Russia at a time when we are currently at war with Russia. We are putting American lives in danger. The ultimate goal of wokeness is the demoralization of the American people, the debasement of the very reason that this country was founded. All men created equal? Don't think so. Hierarchy simply is something that is reorganized under identity politics. It is the dispossessed who are now at the top. This was never about restructuring into an equal or equitable society. This has always ever been about reprioritization based on skin color and backgrounds and immutable qualities. It is not progressive, it is regressive. Wokeness is a cancer, and it's killing this nation. God help Paul Whelan and his suffering family. You don't deserve this. Thank you for watching. Our channel is here.
Well, yeah, it's sad. It's sad what's going on in our country. I think, his call for people not to join the military is a personal decision. And I've said before, a lot of people that I've served with in the military are genuine patriots. They love this country. They love the Constitution. They hate to see what's happening in the military. And, you know, I agree with what he's saying about like a lot of people can't define wokeness. And I think the best definition I've seen is a person who has the ability to find oppression in everything except their own action. So they essentially, uh, through I think a lot of you know sin nature, we all have it, but they are glorifying things like envy, greed, pride, um, and it doesn't have a healthy outcome. And I think it's going to continue, unfortunately. And I guess we have a choice in America. And a lot of people think this is the end of the empire. Hope not, but sometimes you need hard times to wake people up, and maybe it'll do that. But I think we have to experience both economically and socially a lot more consequences before people get knocked over the head hard enough to realize, hey, this doesn't have a good ending. Um, all right. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. See you guys in the next one. Peace.